Hey, Guru Nation, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. I have Dr. Fallaghan on, Oluyemi Fallaghan. She is from Alberta, Canada, which is an amazing place in Canada. Where I am here in Arizona, in the winter, we have a lot of license plates from Alberta. A
Oh,
lot. It's
okay.
all the fellow Albertans, I believe you call them. They come here for the winter. We call them
Right.
snowbirds. They're snowbirds.
What can we do?
Enjoy
Very
the
cool here.
enjoy the sun. But
Yeah.
it's cold. It's cold here right now. So Dr. Fallaghan is a medical science liaison, and her LinkedIn profile is underneath this video. And if you're listening on the podcast, first of all, thank you. Make sure you leave a review and check out Dr. Fallaghan's LinkedIn link underneath the show notes. So basically, we met, Dr. Fallaghan was wanting to transition to a clinical research career. I don't even know where we met, but we met. Can you explain like how we met? I don't even remember.
I remember very well. So I was helping organize a clinical research day for CRAC Canada, and
Ah,
you were one of the moderators for, I mean, several sessions. It wasn't just one. And I from there I gathered he is the guru when it comes to clinical research. And I'm like, oh, okay. And just before the session ended, there was this you know, speed, speed
oh
connecting that
yeah,
they
speed
did.
round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going to log off. Then I thought one last one, and then it turned out to be you. And we had a great chat. I told you what my aspirations were, and you gave me some nice tips. So, and then you introduced me to what's it called now, Clubhouse, and then
Oh, that's
yeah,
right. Okay,
and
this was
then
back
I
in the
logged in.
clubhouse days.
Yeah, I logged in one time, and when I transitioned, I thought, oh, it would be great to let Dan know that I finally did it.
Wow. You know what? That's awesome to hear because I remember doing that event and I like the speed round as well. I thought that was really cool, but
It was
I just didn't remember that that's where we knew each other. I just thought it was from LinkedIn.
no, it was
Oh,
there.
that's awesome. So what was your background before medical science liaison? Give us a little update. And we have a lot of viewers from Canada too, but this applies to
Oh,
anybody in the
awesome.
world.
Awesome. So I am a biochemist through and through. My first degree was in biochemistry. Second degree though was biotechnology, and then I went back to biochemistry when I wanted to pursue a PhD program. And my PhD research was mostly in cancer, genitourinary cancer. And I really enjoyed doing that. And once I graduated, I thought, okay, I would go into research and, dig in further. And I took on a 1 year postdoc position. But then I quickly realized that environment wasn't for me. I am a very outgoing person. I did not thrive hours on end in the lab by myself. And I felt like I did great work, great scientific work, but I also wanted to be in a position or in a field where my work would be impactful quickly. And I started thinking of ways to make that happen. And then I stumbled upon the medical science liaison role, and I went ahead, took a short course, and then just got to know more about the field. And long story short, I'm here now.
So your degree is PhD in biochemistry?
Yes,
That's awesome. I think I remember our conversation now because you were doing lab research and they call it bench research that you were doing.
yes, it
And
is.
there's a lot of people that transition from bench research to clinical research. I mean, we need bench research. That's how we get to the clinical, right? You need animal
That's right.
studies, you need in vitro studies. It
That's
doesn't
right.
happen in people like from nowhere.
That's
These
right.
things happen beforehand in the lab in animal models. So that's awesome, Dr. Fallaghan. How has what was the process like to get hired as a MSL? Like, how many places did you have to apply and go from there?
Well, I'll count myself lucky because I didn't have to search for too long. I was very strategic about my search, and I am grateful for a particular platform that I found and connected with. That's Tricky Scientists. They have a bunch of courses for specifically for PhDs looking to transition into industry, whatever the field, medical science liaison, clinical research. And since I already knew where I was headed, I, enrolled in one of the courses, got to know the foundation of what the field was about, and learned interview skills, informational interview skills, and everything you're not taught in school, basically. And so I went on to practice those things I had learned through the course. I did informational interviews, multiple informational interviews, connected with people on LinkedIn, revamped my LinkedIn profile, revamped my my resume and cover letters. And as soon as I was done that, I thought to put my, everything I'd learned into work. I wasn't quite ready for the role at the time, but I thought there was no harm in finding out if all that I had learned was actually, well, if I had really imbibed those things. And I started applying. So I applied to a couple of companies, actually. I got a lot from LinkedIn. So every position that I thought, I was remotely qualified for, I would throw in an application and just to see what comes of it. And my current role, that was exactly what I did. I just threw in my application. I did everything I could do with my resume to push forward what I had, which was, experience from the academia, no MSL experience, but I wanted to showcase what I had to, cover what I didn't have. And that was what I did with my resume, threw in the application, and then I got an invitation to, interview, and went through all the rounds of interview, and
Hmm.
I'm here now. So
Was that because Canada, was that my advice to go medical science liaison?
actually wasn't. You
Okay.
actually said, that's a long shot, because they usually want people who have prior MSL experience, which I did not have. So your advice to me was to go through the clinical research, route, and then find my way back to medical science liaison if I still
Wow.
wanted to go there.
Wow.
But I was just hell bent on, well, I wasn't hell bent, but that was my focus. Medical science liaison was my focus. But then I had your advice in one hand, and I was actually looking in three ways. So clinical research, medical science liaison, and medical information. So I was looking in those in those three directions, and thankfully I nabbed the particular one I wanted. So
That's awesome. Because in the US, I mean, it's usually like a pharmacist. That's the medical science liaisons at least from the MSLs I've
right.
encountered. But I didn't realize that PhD is also acceptable. And I think that's a huge, maybe that's just Canada, I don't know. But in the US, do you know any other like
Yeah.
non-pharmacist MSLs?
Oh yeah, there's so
Yeah.
many. Right now, I think the industry is more open to PhDs now, knowing that PhDs have a lot more
Awesome.
far. And it's a role that's open to PhDs, PharmDs, and MDs. And some companies actually take MSc as well. So
Wow.
I think the industry is now quite open compared to what it used to be, and PhDs are taking advantage of that.
That's awesome. For those guys wondering, we used to post job postings on our Latinos in clinical research, and
Right.
Eli Lilly was one of the big companies always posting. And one day they posted like 50 open positions for medical science liaisons all across the country. And I
Wow.
think I recall this was the first time I recall that they're allowing non-pharmacist, non-doctor to do it, which is a huge opportunity for everybody out there. And how much, like, what does MSL actually do? How long have you been working as in that role? And can you tell us like a day-to-day what you do?
So I'm a freshly minted MSL right now. I'm only 2 weeks into the job, so I
Congrats.
really cannot say this is what a typical MSL day is from my experience, but from people I've spoken to, everything I know already that I intend to put into the work. The major role of an MSL is to build strategic relationships and maintain those relationships with thought leaders. In my situation, that would be in the myeloma therapeutic area. And I'm literally I'm literally the face of my company to this key opinion leaders and healthcare professionals, and my role is to build those relationships, communicate clinical data, clinical information, medical information, and engage in scientific exchange with these thought leaders with the goal of getting scientific insights from these thought leaders, which I'll take back to my company, and that would inform the medical strategy of my company. So that's
Wow.
my major role. And then there are other things that I will be involved in, attending conferences also to build new relationship with thought leaders in my therapeutic area, gather competitive intelligence, and just push the brand, well, not the brand forward, but push the brand forward scientifically. That's the limit to which my role, to which the medical science liaison works.
Yeah, that's I tell the sites all the time, the study coordinators and the site owners out there, like if you work with a doctor and
Yeah.
they have a lot of sales reps coming in the office,
Mhm.
what you want to do, because at a lot of these sites and clinics, you just take for granted the sales rep come every day, brings coffee and talks to the providers. What I always do is I talk to the sales reps. I want to get an introduction to the medical science liaison,
Mm.
because I know that I can tell, chances are that MSL doesn't know we do research, especially if we're a new company. They don't
Correct.
know. They might know my doctor. Okay, he's
Mhm.
a big prescriber. They might know that much, but they may not know they do research. And every single time I've had interaction with MSL, it's been positive. It's never been them, not wanting to talk to me.
Right.
I didn't get a study every time I did it, but it's always been a positive interaction. It's usually they're surprised. They say, "Well, I didn't realize that you did research, so this is good. We'll do the survey." They talk to the doctor.
Exactly.
I think they try to get, especially the ones that prescribe a lot, they try to make them nurture them to be key opinion leaders if they're not
Exactly.
already. But another colleague of mine, Brad Hightower,
Mhm.
shout out to Brad Hightower in Oklahoma City. He reaches out to his medical science liaisons in
Mhm.
his area and he asks them, "Hey, do you know any doctors that don't do research that are in this area that would be interested in research?" And so MSLs for him are a huge support as well. So that's from my side of what we do. That's
Yeah.
my interactions with MSL. But from your side, I know you guys are like the bridge between sales and R&D, because the sales reps don't know anything about research, and then usually the people in research, they don't know anything about sales. So
Right.
you guys are really the
The
bridge
bridge.
between the two.
Yeah, just like the name implies, the liaison, and truly, the activities you just described are parts and parcel of what an MSL would do.
Yeah.
So, it's an MSL is a great resource for KOLs, for clinical research, for linking the best key opinion leader who would be best suited for a certain clinical trial, and then pushing that, not pushing it forward, but presenting that to the company, and making science happen that way. So medical science liaisons are just great resource, and the work is intense. From the little I know now, the work is
Mhm.
intense. There is so much that rests on one's shoulders as a medical science liaison. But I also think it's an interesting place to be. It's an interesting role to be in, and you'll be making impact in patients' lives in in clinical research in your role. And also, one is a great resource to thought leaders and whatever company you represent as well.
Yeah, I think we got to give a shout out, going back to how you found this position,
Yeah,
to give a shout out to the Clinical Research Association of Canada.
absolutely.
I mean, Kim over there,
Yeah.
Kim McDonald Taylor, she's the one who invited me. Initially, I said no. I don't have time for all day thing. They said it's
Right.
2 days all day. And I said, look, I don't have time. I have sites and all this stuff, but I can do like an hour or two. And then it was
Mm.
fun. So I ended up staying longer. But
Oh, wow.
nobody
No one knew
told
that.
you, nobody told you to go, like you did that on your own, right? You
Yeah.
had to find, how did you find this organization?
So I would say that I was introduced to the organization by the leader. I'm struggling now to remember her name. I
Kim?
hope you can forgive me. No, not Kim.
Uh,
That would be
Sabrina?
not Sabrina, the second person.
Jaspreet
Just
or
Brit, yes, Just
Jaspreet?
Brit, yes. So
Jaspreet Grewal.
yes, that's Just Brit. I don't know how her name just eluded me. So yes, I was introduced to the organization by Just Brit, who I had met at a different program for clinical research. It was like a short course, a 3-month course for clinical research. Pragmatic clinical research it was called. And through our interaction, we became part of the same group for the course. And then she told me what she was doing. And then she had mentioned that her company is organizing this event for clinical research to bring more exposure to clinical research, particularly where cannabis and marijuana is,
Yes.
involved. And I thought, oh, that's a novel thing. And then I volunteered to, help organize the program, even though I had just had a baby 3 weeks prior. But I thought it was a great opportunity to learn more and to connect with people of, like mind. And that was how I got introduced to that circle. And I am totally grateful for it. It connected me to some great people. I mean, it connected me to you. And
Even though I didn't give you good advice to be a
well,
MSL, I had no
honestly,
idea.
you gave me. I think it was great advice because I mean, you told me what part to follow, and that was I think I would have been frustrated if I was just looking for only an MSL position and knowing that most companies would be looking for people who have prior MSL experience. That would have been frustrating. But the fact that I had 3 different opportunities that I could take advantage of, that made my sale smooth.
Mm.
I wasn't frustrated in one direction. I had 2 other directions I was looking at. And I think that was, honestly, I think it was great advice.
Well, thank you for that. The point of this is, guys, nobody told her to go out there and hey, go network. She did on her own. And shout out to Jaspreet, Kim McDonald Taylor, and everybody at Clinical Research Association of Canada. They're doing really good. They're doing better than the ones in the United States. They're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be doing that. I'm not gonna mention those organizations, but they
Okay.
got to be doing more of this kind of stuff. Are you? I always wanted to know about the MSL role. I know you just started, but are MSLs responsible for, like, do you directly supervise the sales reps?
No, no,
No.
actually, our roles are very different and very separate. And we work together to a certain extent, but there are clear demarcations between our roles. So while the sales reps are promotional, field-based as well, the medical science liaison role is absolutely non-promotional. Field-based still, we are customer facing, but we are able to discuss on-label clinical data and off-label clinical data reactively though. Meanwhile, the sales guys cannot discuss off-label clinical data or off-label information with key opinion leaders. So there are clear demarcations between our roles. And usually an MSL and a sales rep would not see a KOL in the same room at the same time.
I see.
Because
Okay.
compliance issues and all that.
So that makes me feel even better as that makes sense too. And that makes me feel even better when sometimes I feel like when I'm talking to the sales rep that, as soon as I ask for the MSL that they're intimidated, but I guess that's not the case.
No, absolutely not. Because
Okay.
we work together as a team. Our roles are different, but we're working towards the same goal. So if you ask a sales rep for their MSL, they would be quick to provide you that information because there are certain information they cannot give, they're not allowed to give, which is actually the role of an MSL. So definitely they would point you in the right direction.
Yeah, that's always the sales reps, no matter what company, the ones I've dealt with have always been very adherent to the rules. I've never had one. Like each time I would talk about research, they would like almost cover their ears and say, I'm not allowed to, but this is the person you want to talk to. And then they introduce me via email and we go from there. So that's good to know. That's very good to know, Dr. Falligan. So yeah, the good thing about MSL, you can go any direction after that. Because you can, if you like sales, you go sales. If you like R&D, you can go R&D. So I think you're in a perfect place. And this interview is really good. It's the first time I've ever interviewed an MSL on the show. And it's the first time I'm actually seeing one that's not a pharmacist or an MD, but we're seeing a lot more. We're going to see a lot more because like I told you with those job postings, even here in the United States. So we're going to see a lot of PhDs now. And it's a great role, I think, for somebody who, especially for you, like want to transition from bench research to clinical research. I mean, you're going to have your hands involved in clinical research.
That's right. To a certain degree, yes.
To a certain degree.
I would be supporting sites, in my therapeutic area if there are ongoing studies. So definitely I'll be involved in clinical research to an extent.
Wow, that's big time. Have they told you anything about investigator initiated trial? Like if let's say a key opinion leader because a lot of these guys and gals are basically like nerds, they think about how does this drug can be good for this and nobody's doing it. Did they tell you how you're supposed to handle this? Like if somebody requests to do a trial?
Absolutely. So there's a process in place for, it's in two ways. If a KOL decides or they're thinking in that direction, of going ahead with an investigator initiated trial, it is my role as an MSL to link them up with the right resources within my company. And also it is also my role to try and find opportunities for such investigator initiated clinical trials. I am privy to a lot of information about ongoing trials, the company pipeline, especially in my therapeutic area. So I would be in the best position to know which KOL has the resources, has the expertise, who may be best suited for a certain type of trial within my therapeutic area. And I could bring that forward to the KOL. If they're not thinking about it, I could, get them to think about it and, push it forward and find ways of making it happen. But there's a process in place. I introduce them to the company. We go through all the paperwork and, get it started. So definitely that is a huge part of my role as an MSL.
That is awesome because I have, even here in Yuma, when I moved here 4 months ago to start a clinic, I previously come from LA, Orange County area in California. Right. It's only a 4-hour drive from where I'm at. But when I first came here, I started looking for doctors. I finally found a few that I'm working with now. But the first one I found, he was not so much interested in doing industry sponsored trials. He was more interested in doing his own studies.
Okay.
Matter of fact, he wanted, and I don't know how feasible this would be, but these like sinus spray,
Yeah.
he wanted to repurpose this for migraines and all kinds of stuff. So we had to like, I was
Wow.
looking like who's the manufacturer, and then I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to get a hold of the medical science liaison from the
Right.
manufacturer to approach about something like this. Like, hey, how do we get a
Absolutely.
grant? So this is something that you do, right? Like
Oh,
MSLs
yes.
do.
Absolutely. It is
Wow.
part of my role. So you see, it's far-reaching. The role is far-reaching. You are in touch with these different areas of the pharma world, and just like the name implies, I don't think there's any better name suited for that role than liaison role. So
Yeah.
I mean, you're connecting different dots and bringing different people together.
The thing I've never been, I'm doing with my CRO, we are doing one investigator initiated trial for a breast
Right.
cancer study, but
Mm.
I'm just managing it. I didn't get the study. I didn't bring the opportunity. I didn't get the
Okay.
grant. Every time I tried to for another PI,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't work. The company, even when it was like a very good idea, I remember one doctor had this idea, and we worked on studies with this other company in the
Right.
past. They loved us. We submitted his idea. We thought it was great. It was something about amphetamine addiction and just repurposing their drug for amphetamine addiction. He wrote papers on this like a nerd.
Right.
And I thought for sure we're gonna get it, the
Mm-hmm.
grant, and we didn't. They said no,
Oh
we don't want
no.
to do it. So how tough is it to actually? I mean, I know you just been 2 weeks, but
You're right.
you guys get pitched probably a lot, and most of the time the answer will be no, right? Like we can't we can't do it. A lot of things have to go right.
Oh yeah. I want to assume so, or I want to believe so. Because I mean there's a process in place. The purpose of the study. Um, okay, so there's a process in place. An application has to be filled and submitted. It goes through different channels that vet, the purpose and the merit of the
Hmm.
study. And you're checking out the key opinion leader, if they are a key opinion leader, or the investigator, their qualification. Have they done this before? Have they been successful at it? To what extent would this push the medical strategy of the company forward? There's so many things, so many aspects that come into this and that are considered. So I want to believe that it's a process. And I mean,
It
most
is a
companies would
process.
go ahead and fund um, an investigator they believe would contribute impactfully
I think
to the
so.
medical
I
strategy.
think in this case, we worked with a smaller company. They weren't,
Right.
maybe they were not financially ready. They just had two
Hmm.
drugs approved,
Okay.
and they were small. Now they're a bigger company, but I think there's a lot of variables. But you work for
Yes.
a big, everyone can go on LinkedIn and see where Dr. Falligan works for, who Dr. Falligan works for, and maybe we should do like a yearly follow-up interview, with you.
Great.
You could be our resident liaison, medical science liaison. We don't have anyone else on the show for that role.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
Absolutely. It
And
would
if
be.
as you start working there more, I'll start networking with you on, hey, hook me up with the MSL in my area.
Of
Let's get
course.
my doctor some studies.
Of course.
What sites are supposed to do, guys. Do your jobs.
Yes. We'll do. We'll do.
That's good. See,
And
networking is
MSLs are
important.
grateful for that.
All this happened from Clinical Research Association of Canada. So thank you,
Yes, it
Kim.
did. Yes,
This
it
goes
did.
to show you, even for myself, when I initially said no, it's like too many days.
Mm,
There's always a way. If it wasn't for Kim being persistent, she was being
right.
persistent.
I
Because I
know.
said no to her like 3 times. And I know Kim. I said, look, I'm sorry, it's just a lot of time. And then she came back, she kept making it, appealing in different way. And then I said, okay, fine, let's just do it. So thank you, Kim. We need more people like you, more
Like him,
entrepreneurs like you.
absolutely, absolutely. I remember everyone was very excited when she came back and said, "Oh, Dan agreed," and I'm like, "Okay, who's Dan?"
Who's Dan? Yeah, who is Dan? Well, apparently that stuff pays off because now
Mhm.
you're in MSL. Now we can
Absolutely.
network. I talk to MSLs. I'm supposed to talk to MSLs all the time. And
Right.
so all the sites watching, all the people with PhD, pharmacy backgrounds, look, companies are hiring like crazy right now, right?
Yep.
MSL, you know, Dr. Falligan, MSL, we might have just inspired somebody watching who's PhD or a
Yeah.
PharmD to say, I didn't know I can do this, and go
You
for
can,
it.
absolutely.
Go for it, guys. Everybody wants to learn more, go contact Dr. Falligan on LinkedIn. Her LinkedIn is underneath, and tell her hi. And she's obviously a very nice person, as you can see. And we'll have her on regularly. So thank you, Dr. Falligan. Anything else that we didn't add that you want to discuss?
Nothing I can, well, I'll just say, if you want it that badly, go for it. Do what you need to do. It's not that, well, it's hard, but you can absolutely do it.
It's
You can
hard, but
absolutely.
you know what else is hard? Becoming a PhD or a pharmacist or MD. That's hard too.
Right, right. So it's not that hard. If you've gone through that training already, this is
Right.
a walk in the park compared to that. So you can absolutely do. If you want it that badly, go ahead.
I love it. I love Canadian people too. You guys are full of like entrepreneur and inspirational people out there. I don't know what's in the water up there in Canada, but got to go back. It's too,
That's our
after
secret.
COVID. After
We
COVID.
don't share that secret.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys are special. So thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Falligan. I appreciate it. We'll be connecting more. Everybody go follow her. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and connect. Take care, guys.
Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you.